From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, flood in Jigawa displaces hundreds. Auyo residents say they have not seen its kind before. 4 persons are confirmed dead, others trapped in another Lagos building collapse. Supreme Court dismisses suit to compel PDP to zone presidency to Southeast. On the foreign scene, bomb goes off as worshippers exit Kabul Mosque, kills at least 7. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Diron Onifade. Residents of Jigawa State say the flood witnessed in the state is the worst they have seen in recent times. The residents told Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin that the flood is submerging many farming communities while destroying crops and houses, raising fears of food shortages. His report.
For 2 long weeks, flood water have covered large part of Jigawa State. Farmland and damaged roads have become temporary fishing grounds.
Like now, I'm fishing here. If God help me to get enough, I will go and sell. If I couldn't get so much, then I'll just take it home for my family to eat.
With their crops rotting underwater, their homes and schools submerged, many affected farming communities are now taking refuge in nearby government facilities. Authorities say hundreds and thousands of them have seen this year's harvest wiped out.
Then the rainfall started. And as a result of the rainfall, there was a heavy rainfall about 3 days in Jigawa State. That rainfall affected all the local governments because the rainfall was there everywhere in the 27 local governments we have. So as a result of that rainfall, so many houses and so many people were killed.
In our local government area alone, authorities say thousands of farmlands have been washed away, and that over 400,000 people are affected by the flood disaster.
Definitely there is going to be a food shortage because, as I am telling you, 60% of the food that we are getting in this entire northern Nigeria is from this Hadija axis. Now the farmlands have been washed away, therefore we could not get anything.
For now, things are getting more complicated. Hundreds of villages are being submerged, farmlands washed away, and farmers say they fear the worst.
Houses are gone, farmlands are gone. What do we eat? You can see that we don't have homes, we don't have, our farms have been washed away, so what do? There is no food for us to eat. If the irrigation farming comes, we don't have money to buy the fuel for the irrigation. What do? 1 bag of maize is 20,000 naira. 1 bag of fertilizer is 25,000 naira. What do you think we should do?
While residents continue to flee for safety, the flood waters continue to take over the entire Hadija Emirates. There are growing concerns that things could get worse in the next coming days. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
4 persons have now been confirmed dead after a 3-story building collapsed on Shonuga Street, Palm Avenue, in the Mushin area of Lagos State on Friday. A yet-to-be-identified person and a child have been rescued from the rubble of the collapsed building. The Lagos Territorial Coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Ibrahim Farinloye, who confirmed the development, said the rescue operation was still ongoing. The Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olufemi Oke Osonitolu, verified that 2 female occupants were still missing. He added that there were visible cracks on the remaining buildings adjoining the collapsed one, noting that if not urgently worked on, the remaining building would also collapse. The Kaduna State government has expressed regret over the prolonged gridlock currently experienced along the Kaduna-Abuja road. Citizens plying the route over the last few days have experienced severe hardship and discomfort due to the gridlock. A statement signed by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, says government is in discussion with Julius Berger and other relevant agencies to solve the problem. The objective, according to the Commissioner, is to ensure that obstructions are promptly cleared and the gridlock is eased for normal movement of traffic as soon as possible. The Enugu State Police Command Thursday said its operatives have rescued 12 kidnapped victims along Ekwegbe, Agu, Neke, Uno, and Okpatu communities in Enugu East, Igbo Etiti, and Udi local government areas of the state. In a statement, the spokesman for the command, Daniel Ndukwe, said 2 of the male victims were rescued along Enugu-Opinsuka Highway, while 10 others were rescued in a forest at Okpatu, Udi local government area of the state. Consequently, the State Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Amani, has ordered immediate deployment of more intelligence and operational resources to further contain emergency incidents of kidnapping, especially along Enugu-Opinsuka Road. Similarly, police operatives serving in the 9th Mile Police Division of the command, with assistance from Neighborhood Watch and a forest guard, have rescued 4 victims alleged to have been kidnapped at Umulungbe community in the same local government area. An unnamed man said to be an undergraduate of a university in Anambra State has allegedly killed his father and mother. The incident happened in Nnewi, Anambra State, as the already decomposing corpses were found in their room on Thursday night. A source said the corpses were discovered by neighbors who started perceiving offensive odor before discovering that the man and his wife, who was said to have been killed by their only son. Meanwhile, the Anambra State Police Command said it has launched a manhunt for the alleged killer, while the decomposing bodies have been recovered and deposited in the morgue. The Edo State Police Command has killed 1 suspected kidnapper and rescued 2 victims, Samson Osengbowa and Stanley Peters, who were abducted while working on their farmland in Ago Orio community along Benin-Lagos Road of the state. A statement by the Assistant Police Public Relations Officer Jennifer Iwebu said both victims were rescued unhurt and had been reunited with their families. Recovered at the scene of the crime were 1 wooden gun, 3 cutlasses, 1 torchlight, and a pair of operational shoes. The statement said intensive bush combing of the area is still ongoing for possible arrest of fleeing gang members. The focus of reporting cases and incidents of armed crisis, natural disasters, and other socio-economic challenges should be victims of such tragedies, while the onus on journalists is to report responsibly. These are points of reference raised at a 2-day humanitarian and conflict reporting workshop in Kano, organized for journalists from parts of the country by the International Committee of the Red Cross ICRC. Trust TV's Aisha Salih was in attendance and has the details.
Armed conflicts and violence often impact negatively on vulnerable victims in and around affected communities. Mainstream reporting of these incidents is said to focus more on the cause and emphasizes on the aggressors rather than the humanitarian angle of the hazardous effects of these vicious events on the victims. The ICRC Humanitarian Reporting Workshop aims to enhance reportorial skills of journalists, keep them abreast of the organization's operational policies in regions of armed conflicts and violence.
For us to be able to help people, we need to raise awareness about what we do, that we are offering assistance and protection for people who are affected by conflict. So it's really important for us to have this dialogue with the journalists. We've done it in different places in the country, and the goal is for us to be able to say what we are doing and how we work, but even more importantly, to learn from the journalists who are working in the field, their experiences, the difficulties, the challenges, and also to start that relationship together with them so that they can be able to contact us whenever they need to.
The story should be from the victim's perspective. We have tried as much as we have done that the culprit, the bandit, the criminal, the perpetrator, the wicked person has been the center of news, all we know. But we are trying to tell our students, to tell journalists, to tell reporters that the victim is also newsworthy. The victim should also be considered news material. The victims deserve our sympathy, our compensation, our help, etc., etc. So journalists should look at both ends. They should look at the victims as well.
Participants at the workshop are impressed by the practical applications learned, resolving that these tips will be deployed in subsequent reportage of human and ghost stories.
We have learned a lot, especially when it comes to humanitarian reporting. And this is the first time that I have achieved a lot in terms of this humanitarian reporting, because we have gained from the facilitators, from the resource persons that they have invited. And then we have takeaways a lot. When we go back home, I know that we are going to train, teach others.
The mandate of the International Committee of the Red Cross is to protect the dignity of victims of armed conflicts, violence, and other emergency situations while scaling up rapid humanitarian response. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
To politics now. Dauda Lawal has been re-elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for 2023 election on Friday in Gusau. Lawal polled 422 votes to emerge the candidate of the party, beating his opponents Ibrahim Shehu and Hafiz Mohammed, who got 1 vote each, with Wadatu Madawaki scoring 0 votes. Chairman of a committee sent from the PDP headquarters in Abuja to conduct the fresh primary election in Zamfara State, Hassan Hayat, described the exercise as peaceful, transparent, and credible, while announcing Dauda Lawal as the winner, having scored the highest number of votes and is returned as the governorship candidate of the party. A federal high court in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, had last Friday nullified the primary election of the PDP and ordered that fresh primary election be conducted. Dare will now face candidates of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and incumbent Governor Bello Matawalle, as well as candidates of other 16 political parties in the 2023 elections. The Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted against the People's Democratic Party, PDP, seeking to enforce the zoning and rotatory policy in the 2023 presidential election. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro on Friday, the court struck out the suit on the grounds of lack of jurisdiction to entertain it. A presidential aspirant of PDP and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Cosmos Ndukwe, had instituted the suit against his party, praying for an order of the court to compel it to uphold the zoning and rotatory policy of the party. Specifically, the presidential aspirant sought for an order of the court to compel PDP to zone the nomination of its presidential candidate to the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. However, Justice Jauro dismissed the suit on the grounds that the nomination of candidates for election was an internal affair of political parties. Former Minister of Youth and Sport Solomon Dalung witnessed proceedings at the Chief Magistrate Court 4 in Yola, Adamawa State, to seek justice for Lawan Uba, who was remanded for over 40 days. Lawan Uba, an Adamawa-based politician, has been in detention for allegedly insulting Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri. Salis Lawan has the detail.
The immediate past minister noted that as a Nigerian citizen who always stands for justice, he cannot afford to allow a fellow citizen to be denied justice, saying that Lawan ought not to have been in prison because the offense is bailable in nature. He challenged Adamawa State Judiciary to rise up and ensure that the justice delivery system is not in any way compromised or allowed to be politicized, and vowed to ensure justice for the detained politician.
I am satisfied that justice will be done ultimately based on the argument I have listened and the presentation made before the church. I have confidence in the judiciary in Nigeria. They remain the bastion of the common man.
A.A. Lawan Uba was arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Court, presided by Magistrate Aminu Abdul Qadir Maiha, for defamation of character and several other offences which he denied committing. Lead counsel to the defendant, Robert Mosif Ave, argued that the comments made by his client were not defamatory.
We are submitting that from the evidence led by the prosecution, that is the state, the Commissioner of Police, no prima facie case has been made against the defendant to warrant the court calling on him to open a defense. In a situation like this, if the court is calling on the defendant to open a defense where there is no evidence which discloses any case against him, it's akin to asking the defendant to prove his innocence, which is contrary to the Constitution. My client should be patient, and the public should also be patient. We wait for the outcome of the ruling, and then from there, we'll advise them on the next step.
However, the prosecution counsel declined to comment, saying he needed clearance from his superior before speaking to the press. A.A. Lawan Uba has been in detention after he was accused of sharing videos in which he claimed Governor Fintiri betrayed those who helped him win the 2019 election. Meanwhile, the State Magistrate Court 4 has adjourned till Monday, 26 September 2022 for ruling on no case submission filed by counsel to the defendant, A.A. Lawan Uba. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
And from there, we'll move on to the ongoing United Nations meeting in New York. Though it is President Buhari's last appearance at the United Nations General Assembly, his support is still being sought, as demonstrated by the bilateral meetings he has been involved in on the sidelines of the international event. Two of such meetings were with the president of a Palestinian territory, Mahmoud Abbas, and Muhammadu Isufu, former president of Niger Republic and special envoy of the UN and African Union on joint strategic assessment and governance situation in the Sahel. Kendi Amodu reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari's speech on the floor of the United Nations General Assembly still reflects that some of the positions adopted by his administration from the onset have not changed. One of such positions is his support for the two-state solution to the crisis between Israel and Palestine, which he believes can be aided by a closer partnership between African countries and their Arab partners. At a bilateral meeting with the president of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, in New York, President Buhari said the actualization of the UN resolution would require a platform to think creatively on how to engage the rest of the world on the matter. The Palestinian president, who appreciated his Nigerian counterpart for being a consistent supporter of the Palestinian cause, also solicited Buhari's support by rallying other African countries to their side. President Abbas said Palestinians had decided to pursue a peaceful path towards resolving the matter by relying on nations like Nigeria to help in attaining the two-state solution. President Buhari also met with Mahamadou Issoufou, former president of Niger Republic and special envoy of the UN and African Union on joint strategic assessment and governance situation in the Sahel. President Buhari assured the special envoy of the support of Nigeria in the discharge of its assignment, which will focus on seeking political and economic solutions to issues confronting countries in the Sahel. The former Nigerian leader had informed President Buhari that Nigeria's support was needed to raise funds for the assignment. Reporting the president at Onga, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, fire disaster management safety tips. Stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. Flood in Jigawa displaces hundreds. Auyo residents say they have not seen its kind before. And 4 persons died, others trapped in another Lagos building collapse. Now moving to more stories. The outbreak of cholera in some parts of Gombe State has led to the deaths of 10 people. The State Ministry of Health, who confirmed the outbreak, said it affected 5 local government areas of the state with over 200 confirmed cases. The Executive Secretary of the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Abdurrahman Shaibu, said the state government has activated an immediate response plan across 11 local government areas of the state. He said the action in all the local government areas became necessary for the prevention and management of cholera outbreak in the state. The Lagos State government is collaborating with the Lagos Urban Development Initiative, LUDI, to observe the first ever car-free day in Lagos on Sunday, September 25, 2022. The move is to encourage road users and motorists to set aside their cars for a day and take up active and inclusive means of transportation such as cycling and walking, known as non-motorized transport, NMT. Disclosing this on Friday in a statement signed by the spokesperson of the Lagos Ministry of Transportation, Bolanle Ogunlola, the state said that traffic will be diverted around Alausa Ikeja as cyclists will utilize Governor's Office Road through Mobolaji Johnson Avenue to mark the event, while about 400 meters of the Governor's Avenue will be closed for the event. The Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation, Frederick Oladeinde, explained that the aim of the initiative was to create awareness about the benefits of non-motorized transport, including reducing environmental pollution. He added that the initiative will also reduce insufficient physical activity and sedentary behavior to promote the health of the people, regardless of their ages. Youths in Nasarawa State have been advised against engaging in political thuggery and other actions that could truncate peaceful coexistence and national cohesion ahead of the 2023 general elections. Nasarawa State youth leader of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Masi, gave the warning while interacting with newsmen on the level of awareness of the dangers attached to the involvement of youths in this unwholesome act during the electioneering campaign. Masi urged youths to use their vote to elect credible leaders that will bring the needed transformation and development in the country and their respective constituencies. He noted that the recent youth summit held in Abuja had brainstormed extensively on key government policies and programs that would be beneficial to youths across the country.
You should involve fully in bringing positive change, especially in the forthcoming general elections, political talks. And I think they should do their best to bring peace in this country, so that at least the government should at least allow to, have a peaceful steps and actualize their dreams.
The leadership crisis among traders in Oyo State on Thursday took a new dimension when over 500 traders stormed the state government secretariat in Agodi, Ibadan, to protest against what they described as a conspiracy to install Yekini Abbas as the Babaloja General of Oyo State. The President Coalition of Oyo State Market Youth Forum, Sikiru Adetunji, while speaking with journalists after the protest, said those behind the plan to install the Babaloja General for political reason are enemies of traders and the state. He lamented the alleged collusion between government officials and some market leaders to shortchange the people, adding that they would resist such attempts. Building the capacity of young Nigerians is a task that is central to the raising of future leaders that will cement the development of the country. It is an assignment Future Trust Initiative has taken on to instill in young Nigerians leadership qualities and reassure them of a bright future ahead. Neil Sampson has the rest of the story.
The future starts from today, and decisions taken affect tomorrow. Above captures the essence of this gathering aimed at monitoring young ones for the challenges ahead. The Future Trust Initiative, organized in Abuja, is essentially to build the capacity of the young ones who are encouraged to make themselves available and ready to be problem solvers.
Nigeria and Africa, by extension, would not stand a fighting chance, let alone compete to grow and develop. So, young ladies and gentlemen, if, according to the theme of TAFMOON 2022, you are the future, people with requisite skills and strengths must live in every nook and cranny to make it hum and rhyme like one village.
The conference is hoped to be a rewarding educational experience to all the delegates who are participating in the conference to be able to tackle what's pressing issues.
After TAFMOON, go out there and engage the world in a transformed manner. So then, put succinctly, you are at TAFMOON to broaden your horizon like never imagined before. Let us all join hands to give our youth the opportunity to be heard as they contribute their quota in solving the myriad of problems plaguing our society and the world.
Encouraging the reading habits among the younger generation is also very important in preparing them for the future.
Teen Trust is a special teenage publication owned by Media Trust Group. It's the same company that owns the Daily Trust newspaper. Trust TV, and a vernacular paper called Armenia. Our aim is to instill the reading culture and develop writing skills in both primary and secondary school students. The world has long realized that today's children are tomorrow's leaders. And this has made it more important for us to give the required attention to the education of our children.
Every day is a choice to begin, and the young ones are counseled not to focus on previous failures, but to move with positive thoughts and expectations. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The advent of digital technology has had both positive and negative impact on education, as it has provided more access to a variety of online learning materials, diverting learners away from the physical hard copy textbooks. Hamid Oyegbade in this report observes the effect of this new trend on the dwindling reading culture in Nigeria. His report is presented from the studio.
Working hard at school from primary to higher education has long been encouraged by parents and teachers for generations, as most people believe education is the key to success. But this could only be achieved through learning. So, reading is very essential. Reading helps to discover new things and helps learners to gain more knowledge. However, in spite of the dwindling reading culture among Nigerians, physical textbooks are gradually phasing out with the advent of new digital technology. A bookseller in Oshogbo, Osun State, Sam Alisigwe, said people still buy books.
Like a computer and a phone, they are saying. What you see there is difference on the practical one you see on the textbook. That one is working through, but the one that you see on the textbook is the one you can be rely to read at any time. So two of them is working, but to read textbook, difference is there.
Meanwhile, with huge uncensored content on social media and various online video games, there is serious concerns on the content that youths are exposed to on mobile phones. A private school proprietor in Oshogbo, Goke Omigbodun, and the former vice-chancellor of Osun State University, Professor Oguntola Alamu, agreed that reading on internet is good depending on the content read.
Social media can be used for any purpose. It can be used for reading, it can be used for pornography, it can be used for evangelism, it can be used for politics, it can be used for financial information dissemination. So I again would say whatever is your interest is what you will pursue.
We thank God for the advent of technology that has brought the internet close to you and I. Internet can be utilized productively. Our youth can visit internet, search for e-books, e-materials. They have experiments conducted online they can check through. They can watch teachers deliver lectures online. They can read learning resources on the internet.
The changing face of education has changed the use of educational materials to access knowledge. The use of the internet should therefore be aimed towards garnering knowledge that will engender success in life.
Hamid Oyegbade's report from Oshogbo, Osun State. And more from Hamid. The Yoruba people of Southwest on Friday marked the end of the popular Kiriji War, which lasted for 16 years. The Commissioner for Special Duties, Culture and Tourism in the state, Olalekan Badmus, said the commemoration symbolizes unity of the Yorubas. Trust TV's Hamid Oyebade files the report.
The event was in commemoration of 136 years after the signing of a peace treaty on 23rd of September 1886. The war was fought between 1870 and 1886. At the Kiriji war site on Friday, loud sound of gunfire rent the air as traditional warriors and warlords exhibited their firing power to bring back the memory of the war that ended 136 years ago. Speaking on the significance of the event, the Commissioner for Special Duties, Culture and Tourism in the state, Olalekan Badmus, urged all Yorubas to unite and speak with one voice always.
We have come here to celebrate the Kiriji Treaty. According to the records, this commenced in 1870, when there is war among the Yoruba land, and it lasted for 16 years. We thank God by then that they could see the future by ensuring that there is peace in Yoruba land. And that is what brought about the treaty that was signed here in Imesile, which comprises of mostly all the Yoruba-speaking towns. It was so many things was agreed, but what was most important was the unity that was agreed upon.
A member of the Imesile Cultural Committee, BC Olanio, urged Yorubas to unite and love themselves so as to achieve the essence of the treaty.
On September 23rd, 1886, we were happy that they bring all the arrive into a peace treaty, which they signed on this land on 23rd September 1886. And the peace treaty signifies that we should love each other, we should see ourselves as brothers and sisters, we should not see ourselves as enemies.
The traditional ruler of the town, Oba Enoch Ademola Akinyemi, said the event signifies the enthronement of peace in Yoruba land.
It signifies that there is unity among us. You've seen the Ibadan people coming around to celebrate this occasion, which is super.
At the palace, a masquerade came out and rites were performed to ensure peace in Yoruba land.
Now we'll take some special reports. Watch repairers, also known as horologists, are facing extinction, especially with the advances being made in the production of mobile phones. Advances in technology mean less people are using wristwatches and clocks, which may spell doom for the craft of horology. Jimmy Azande spoke to repairers in Makurdi who lamented the situation.
The watch repairers are of the view that the invention of mobile phone was not in their best interest. Rather than upgrade, some have abandoned the trade while others have diversified to be able to pay bills.
I've been in the business for quite some time now. And however, the way the thing is now, it's not like before in terms of patronage and customership. Because unlike before when they break, you know that before 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, thereabout, you know how much you are supposed to have in your pocket. But now, at times you use a whole year, whole month, you cannot even recover anything. Unlike before, we don't used to have handsets, all these gadgets, we don't use them. But now, due to all those things now, the patronage of wristwatch repair has gone drastically down. As a result of that, we have to diversify.
Some of the repairers have requested that timepieces be removed from the phones to make way for their jobs.
So what would they get to work before? None the thing, they like that. Because handset now, plenty. Many of people wearing wear wristwatch, now they know they wear that. Like before you go see one person with a 5 watch, 4 watch, 3 watch. But now, they like it before.
The wristwatch business is moving before. No matter, moving fasterly. The volume of the wristwatch business is way increased before. But right now, I don't know. It is where assets come out. People know normally. I'm telling them I'm repairing, both the two. But this is where assets come out. It doesn't move like before. I don't know the reason whether the company manufacturers can able to remove the time for wristwatch.
On their part, residents of Makurdi gave divergent views on wristwatches. Some feel the fashion is outdated, while others say the wristwatches serve a unique function.
So the reason why I don't have a wristwatch is because these days wristwatches have become more of a fashion item. Because you have your phone, you can always take a glance at it and know exactly what time it is. Phones have become everything. It's your planner, it's your calendar, it's You don't need to hang a calendar in your office anymore. Just like you don't necessarily need a wall clock or a wristwatch.
The watch is my fashion that I used to tie always. Even if this one spoiled today, in the next 3 hours, I'll still look for a wristwatch because it has cost my blood. At times, the phone may shut up, the battery may go down, and you still have your wristwatch at your hand. You don't need of asking your colleagues what is the time before you. There are some phones, if they are not set by the network, it is not all the place that you can, when the battery has got shut down before you set the watch of the phone, it will be difficult. But if you are with the wristwatch, you can know the time throughout.
Once upon a time, wristwatches were essential to fashion, but that was before the mobile phone era. At the moment, it appears most people have stopped using them and the repairers are suddenly going into oblivion.
That report from Makurdi. And similarly from Jos, Plateau State, Ado Musa reports that with the advent of cell phones and other gadgets, wristwatches are taking a backseat, making the repairers jobless. The report.
Wristwatch repairers in Jos, like in other states, are struggling to be in business as the advent of cell phones and other tools are making wristwatches out of use. Stakeholders in the career said, prior to the emergence of cell phones, car watch, digital and alarm clock repairs were booming because everyone was using this avenue to know the time. But now cell phones and other gadgets are replacing wristwatches and other types of clocks, as phones are serving the purpose to which the watch once served.
Why I don't wear wristwatches now is because of due to the nature of every phone now. You understand that there is a watch in every phone, and I don't always like using it because of my personal convenience.
Watch these days we wear it literally for fashion, not for checking the time, because the phone has literally taken over the work of that watch. I check my time in as much as I have my watch. Most of the times I check my time through my phone.
Yes, I've been using wristwatch before, but now I'm not been using it that much. So I was using the wristwatch because there was no substitute that time. But now the introduction of cell phone has overtaken the function of wristwatch.
Some people in watch business lamented over how their business is slipping away. I have been in the repairs of wristwatch for the past 40 years. Definitely, there is a great difference between now and before in terms of repairs of wristwatch or wall clock. The coming of handset has brought a great change in the way people come in to repair their watches or clocks because they rely on their handset. However, Abdulkadir Yanshanu believes differently. Watch repair is a good business and has been helping me a lot. I have been in the business for 25 years. When phones arrived, there was change in our business because people now open their phones to check time. But that doesn't mean people are not completely coming. Glaringly, there is a change. Before now, people will own 10 to 15 wristwatches for fashion and must come to repair them when it is necessary. Even with the disclosure of phones, I'm still getting customers day in, day out because modern watches are not as strong as the old ones. The modern watches develop problems more quickly, and that is why they are being brought on and on for repairs. Repairing them is now very easy compared to old versions because there are tools for repairs that easily dictate problems. For a number of years, wristwatch sales have declined. A lot of people have said the industry is on its last leg as most people do not buy watches just to know time anymore. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Bottom line, to stay relevant in this digital ecosystem, people have to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Federal and state fire services have the statutory responsibility for search and rescue, fire prevention, mitigation, and firefighting, as well as paramedical services. Though resources are being expended on the fire services by government to discharge their duties accordingly, many Nigerians express concern over their ineffectiveness. In this report, Bello Musa examines the perception of Nigerians about the activities of the fire services in disaster management.
Fire service was established in Nigeria in 1901 as an arm of the Lagos Police Fire Brigade, and in April 1963, an Act of Parliament established the Federal Fire Service. The service is still the only agency by law saddled with the responsibility of firefighting and prevention, such as rescue services and disaster management. However, the concerns raised by many Nigerians is whether the service the agency renders at the federal and state levels are effective.
Anywhere there's a fire outbreak, with their geostatical mapping, the fire service is supposed to know immediately, but they would not know till somebody gives them a call.
Before they got to the point of the event, things might have escalated.
They are trying always coming if they invite them to come.
Some Nigerians said due to lack of motivation and modern equipment, some people have lost lives or millions of naira worth property because of late response to distress calls, while others faulted the government's inability to provide adequate and modern firefighting equipment.
We blame both the state and the federal government for not properly equipping them.
When you go to the fire service, they'll complain that they don't have fuel in their lorries. Or even if they have fuel in their lorries, they don't have water in their tanks.
So basically the way the whole system is designed to help you start fighting fire for the first 5 minutes while you connect from the nearest fire hydrant back to your tank, so that you have continuous flow of water from the hydrant, from the source of water to your tank, then you continue fighting your fire for a longer period of time. But if I may ask you, when was the last time you see a hydrant within any metropole?
While the firefighting agency is blamed for lack of public enlightenment on disaster prevention and ill-prepared, the agency lamented how the communities are also stumbling blocks to achieving their task. The agency said nonchalant attitude of people toward fire safety is one of the major hindrances they face.
Have these fire servicemen been funded adequately so that they can go to radio station houses, so that they can go to television stations, so that they can go to online pages, online media, and then start enlightening people about how to prevent outbreaks of fire?
When you go into certain localities, Koro, in quote, you realize that where someone is not supposed to build, he has built a shop from his fence, and the shop is occupying part of the lane. We have very big fire trucks, so navigating will be a bit difficult.
Residents have called on the government to equip the agency with modern equipment of fighting disaster and also to create awareness on safety measures. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And in the same vein, Nigeria lost property worth 3 trillion naira to fire incidents in 2021. Despite huge amounts of money spent to fund fire services. The perception of some Nigerians, however, is that the firefighting agencies in the country are not effective. Ibrahim Ismail examines factors responsible for the incessant fire outbreaks in Gombe State and files in this report.
According to the Gombe State Fire Service, the use of substandard equipment, electrical and cooking products, and negligence of safety protocols are some of the main causes of incessant fire outbreaks in the state. Speaking on the perception of Nigerians over alleged inefficiency by the firefighters, the Deputy Operation Officer, Gombe State Fire Service, Idris Musa Kwame, said they operate amid multiple challenges, including trafficked and obsolete equipment.
The problem we encounter during our services is that if you can call a fire from one direction to another, like say I'm here at Tenduku and you call me over the phone that fire at BCJ, you are expected to reach that fire from here Tenduku to BCJ within 5 minutes because we are using siren. That's to claim the right of the way. We are moving speedy because of what? Maybe it is either life or huge properties is involved in that particular incident. That's the essence of our quickness. You understand? But the challenge is that the motorists.
He called on authorities to strengthen their efficiency by providing modern equipment.
Yes, the demand of the worker will not be above of what he requires for his own work. The equipment, our fire trucks, and our other material that we can be using it for both emergency and non-emergency activities.
One of the most burning questions is, are Nigerians really aware of fire safety tips?
The major precautions I would take in my home to prevent fire outbreak is whenever I'm going out or whenever I'm not using my appliances, I used to off them. I will make sure that they are off. So if I'm going out of the house, I will make sure that every socket in my house or any appliances, even the socket doesn't contain any appliances that is connected, I will make sure that I off them completely before going out.
Kamar yanzu muna amfani da gawayi ne, mukan kashe gawayin mu.
We are using charcoal for cooking. We put them off and electrical appliances before going to bed. We only leave the fan. This is what we do to prevent fire outbreak. Although federal government said it undertook a 10.4 billion naira infrastructure upgrade in 2021, experts believe that observing fire safety protocols can drastically reduce the rate of fire outbreaks in the country. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Let's take some business-related stories now. President Muhammadu Buhari believes Nigeria can be a major international supply chain partner to global economies like the United States. The president made a declaration on Thursday while speaking to captains of industry, ambassadors, and foreign investors, among others, at the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum, which was held on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Consequently, the president announced tax-free incentives to encourage investors. Speaking at the forum, the president said his administration had facilitated fiscal investment, including 3 to 5 years of tax holidays for enterprises in pioneer industries, tax-free operations, and no restrictions on expatriate quotas in Nigeria's free zones, with capital allowances for agriculture, manufacturing, and engineering, as well as VAT-free regime of 5%, among other incentives. Let's now join Chamunda Beng for more business stories.
The insecurity situation in the nation, according to the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, has had a substantial impact on farming activities and severely limited the country's capacity to supply raw materials for manufacturing. The group also claimed that in light of primary research on the cost of necessities like food, transportation and home products, Nigeria's inflationary numbers may have been overestimated. The group stated that a number of causes, including the high cost of materials, devaluation, and the disruption of the supply chain brought on by insecurity, could be responsible for the rise in inflation. According to the statement, the country's ongoing instability has slowed down agricultural work and discouraged investment in the nation's food-producing regions, leading to a decrease in agricultural output. The majority of farmers and people making a living along the value chain, according to the statement, have been left jobless, aggravating the nation's spiraling unemployment rate. Instead of the inflation that has been extensively reported, Nigeria is currently experiencing stagflation, according to NASIMA. Nigeria and other developing nations have been cautioned by the World Bank Group that raising interest rates simultaneously in response to rising inflationary pressure could result in a worldwide recession and a series of financial crises. The Washington-based bank warned that the currently anticipated trajectory of interest rate increases and other policy actions might not be enough to bring global inflation back down to levels seen before the pandemic. In its latest study, Risk of Global Recession in 2023 rises amid simultaneous rate hikes. According to the report, central banks have been rising interest rates this year with a degree of coherence not seen in the previous 50 years. This trend is anticipated to last well into next year. Investors anticipate that central banks will boost their average worldwide interest rates by more than 2 percentage points from their 2021 average through 2023 to almost 4%. The study concluded that if supply disruptions and labor market pressures don't abate, those interest rates might result in a worldwide core inflation of around 5% in 2023, which would be about twice the 5-year average prior to the pandemic. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has said it has recorded an increase of $890 million in non-oil exports proceeds in 2022. Emefiele stated this on the sidelines of the Nigeria International Economic Partnership Forum as part of activities lined up for the United Nations General Assembly. Giving a further breakdown of the proceeds, he said in the first quarter of 2022, export repatriation was about $64 million. Second quarter rose to $622 million. Third quarter increased to $959 million. Adding that projections are that by the quarter, the figures would have increased further. He remarked that Nigeria's import requirements are heavily reliant on oil receipts. He continued by saying that the country's present foreign exchange problems were caused by the low amount of revenue that came in from oil sales. According to him, the adjustment had caused the naira to depreciate dramatically, with the conversion rates in the I&E window plummeting to 436 naira to the dollar. That's all for Business News. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Several people were killed and dozens were wounded on Friday when a car bomb went off at a mosque in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, as worshippers streamed out of afternoon prayers. A column of black smoke rose into the sky on Friday, and gunshots rang out for several minutes after the explosion in an area formerly home to the city's green zone. The Associated Press news agency quoted a Taliban official as saying that at least 7 people were killed and 41 wounded, while contrary figures from Afghan media put the death toll at 9. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. The explosion on Friday was the latest in a deadly series of bombings at mosques during Friday prayers in recent months. In 2020, the area was struck by a bomb that killed 2 people, including the mosque's prayer leader. And for sports now, Roger Federer will play the final match of his career, partnering great Spanish rival Rafael Nadal at the Lever Cup on Friday night at London's O2. For more sports now, we'll join Adeniyi Ajishafe.
The Nationwide League One NLO Super 8 tournament will kick off at Legacy Peach National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos from 12 to 8 October 2022. NLO Secretariat of the nation's top-tier domestic league said it will be a 6-day football event where 8 will compete for honors. The teams include Smart City FC Lagos, Madiba FC of Lagos, FC Ebede Ogun, Police Beretta FC of Gombe, Kun Khalifa FC Imo, Aspire FC Anambra, Junior Dambura.
And that's it on NewsHour tonight. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Deron Nifade. Have a nice weekend.